Well, hi, welcome to another edition of Minnesota Camper. I am John, and today we come to you from the Hilltop Camper and RV location in Fridley, which is, if you're not familiar, just north of Minneapolis by, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles or something like that. We today are going to be talking about spring tune-ups, and it's nice to hear the word spring because in Minnesota, and if you're hanging out with us today, we are less than 10 degrees. We're not minus 10 degrees today, but we are less than 10 degrees. But nonetheless, spring is just a month away from when we are recording this here today. So we're ready for a spring tune-up and getting our campers ready to get out there as soon as we can. And to do that, we're bringing in JP he's our service manager here in Fridley. Hi, JP. Nice slide there.
Yeah, thank you.
And this is like actually warm weather for you, isn't it? Because aren't you Canadian?
It is. It's much colder out
Well, we're going to talk about the spring tune-up and really what kind of things you need to be thinking about as you're getting ready to take that camper out of storage and get it back out there on the campground. And the first thing we got to think about is the water system. So we're obviously going to have to winterize this thing, but what kind of things are we thinking about with water as we're doing a spring tune-up?
Yeah, so doing the spring tune-up is just a great way of doing a big checklist before going out of town. And the first thing is hooking up water to the system. And we run water through your water pump, through all your pipes, checking all the faucets, running water through the toilet, the shower. We're testing everything. We're looking for leaks just to make sure that when you arrive at your campsite, the last thing you want is to have a plumbing leak, and that could just ruin a weekend.
So as a guy who's never de-winterized a camper, and I would have customers ask me about de-winterizing, and I would tell them, I said, and this is where I want you to chime in because I've never run this by you. I told my customers, I said, I think it's like changing oil in your car. You could probably do it pretty easily yourself, but most people pay somebody to do it. Is that a fair assessment?
I would say it's fair. It is a simple process to do, but having the professionals do it is just
A little peace of mind.
a peace of mind. That make sure that, like I said, the last thing you want to do is when you get to your campsite and you have something or a valve in the wrong position and you forgot how you left it the year before, and you just want to make sure that it works and you can enjoy your time off.
If we've been storing our campers, especially maybe outside in the wintertime, electrical system, something we got to think about too. When we're looking at the spring, what kind of things are we checking in the spring?
Yeah, so part of the spring tune-up is we check the electrical system. So we check, make sure that your the battery connections are good, that you have a solid batteries, because the system does run on 12 volt. One side of things is, checking the converter output, checking, your lights, your outlets, things that run on AC power and DC power, just to make sure that everything is safe and sound.
Before we go any further, when we talk about a spring tune-up, are we talking about every spring we need to do this?
Not necessarily. You can do it every spring. Some people, they'd want just that peace of mind before they go out of town. It's just a check, and just peace of mind is the biggest thing there.
What about the gas system?
The gas system is huge. It's huge for safety concerns. Obviously, you don't want to have a propane leak once you're camping. Propane leak is a dangerous thing that you can have. Don't want to go too deep into that, and if you want your plants to run on the LP side, you got to have proper pressure, a good regulator, making sure that your propane tanks are filled, and the biggest thing is to make sure that they're up to date. So
yeah, and you're going to be checking those appliances too, making sure those are all working.
Correct.
Your refrigerator, you wanted to keep the beer cold. That might be the most important thing in a spring checkup.
Yeah. So the other side on the spring tune-up is going to go through all your appliances. So we check your furnace, we check your oven, your water heater, your refrigerator. A lot of the models, they run on gas, they run on 110 volt, 12 volt. So we check all the factors to make sure that everything is good, that there's no leaks, that they're functioning at their peak performance. So we do a pretty thorough check.
It's hard to pinpoint what might be the most important item on a spring tune-up list in relationship to safety.
Yeah.
But it probably doesn't get much more important than the running gear you've got going.
Correct. So running gear is obviously the suspension of a RV, like the shackles, the springs, making sure that your tires are operating like they should be. Air pressure wise, we check to make sure you don't have a loose lug nut going down the road. So, yeah,
Let's talk about tires for a second.
Yeah.
So talking to customer after customer about their tires, it's pretty obvious people don't check their tires, because when you ask them what kind of condition their tires are in, the answer is always the same. Pretty good.
pretty good.
What does that mean?
Yeah,
You
usually
know?
they say they're pretty good. Plenty of threads, and
Yeah.
I mean, in RV tires on a travel trailer, they will dry rot, as they call them, before the threads run out of them. And what happens is the tire will sit for many years, and the sun will absorb the tire condition. Basically, it deteriorates, and you start to have a lot of cracking on the outside. And that is a very dangerous thing to have going down the road, because your tire could fail, and you can end up on the side of the road.
What can we expect from a tire? There are different tires, and there's some tires better than others. Let's take a Goodyear Endurance, which is one we sell. I know Chris in our shop, we trust immensely, thinks that those are the best on a smaller travel trailer, for instance. I'm sure you do too. How many years can you expect to get out of a Goodyear Endurance tire?
A Goodyear Endurance tire, I mean, the ones that we've installed and the ones that I've seen that our units come with, anywhere from 4 to 5 years, I've seen them last.
Okay.
Obviously, they do expire at some point, but as far as the durability of them, the Goodyear Endurance has been coming in extremely strong.
If you're getting a dirt cheap camper, that can be fine, but one of the sacrifices you're likely making in a lot of cases is going to be the tire. You're not probably getting a Goodyear Endurance tire. You're getting something more cheaply made. What kind of things do we have to look out for that? And again, what kind of life expectancy can we have for that?
Yeah, you start getting into tire brands that are unheard of. They're kind of known as the China bomb tires.
Yeah.
But the simplicity of them is they just don't last as long as a Goodyear Endurance.
All right, we kind of went on a side tangent there, but in terms of spring tune-up, that's really, really important. Make sure that your tires are ready to hit the road here this spring. All right, general appearance items. You've got roof seals, huge, right? You definitely want to. I've heard different ideas as to how often you need to check them, how often you need to reseal them. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so in a perfect world, checking your roof seals on 4 times a year.
Wow.
That's the way, from experience, that I've seen. And the reason why is, in Minnesota, it's considered an extreme state as far as how the weather changes. So you have 4 seasons, which means, if it goes from, we've all seen it, from 100 degrees one day and it drops to 60 degrees, and then it fluctuates so bad, then your seals on your roof are going to expand, contract, and all that sealant, they're applied by a human. It's not machine applied. So there's going to be flaws, and it's just an inspection to make sure that when you check your roof seals, that you don't have any type of voids, that you don't have gaps, just a general check to make sure your sealing is adhering to your roof so that you don't have any leaks. So, and with the season changing so much, that's when you can start having some issues. So at the beginning of the summer, we can check your roof and it's perfectly fine. And at the end of the year, when there's been so much flexibility in the temperature change, you could have some open voids starting to happen, and that's when we catch them.
This is JP, is our service manager in Fridley. If you've been to the service department in Fridley, you certainly would recognize him. It is, speaking of recognize, it's recognized as one of the best service departments in the United States of America. Jayco has sent 49 states worth of business to his place. That's pretty cool. What about if you've got an engine? What are we talking about with the motorhomes?
Yeah, so engine, we basically do just the basic check. We check belts, hoses, fluid, power steering fluid, transmission fluid, oil. This location in Fridley, we do perform oil changes on the gas engine. I can't speak for the other 3 locations, but
Check ahead.
check ahead. But at our facility, we are able to do oil changes on the gas engine.
Cool.
So
Can't forget about pop-ups. We don't sell new pop-ups, but we do sell used pop-ups. Springtime, by the way, if you want to get a used pop-up, springtime's a time now would be a great time to do it, because now you're going to probably have your best selection by the end of March, early April. That's pretty picked over in terms of the pop-ups. But if you got a pop-up, that needs to be checked too.
pop-ups are treated the same way. They have a roof, they have seals on them. And they also have a lift system that needs attention and needs to be taken care of and lubed and adjusted if needed. Before cranking it up for the first time of the year is, just doing a quick inspection, make sure you don't have a mice that got crawled up in there or anything, any rodents that could cause damage as soon as you lift it up. So it's just a inspection that we do here to ensure that you don't have issues lifting it up. So.
And another thing to go along with your travel trailer, by the way, getting back to the travel trailers for a second, if you do have a slide, that's something they're certainly going to inspect as well. All this leads to the fact that yeah, it's a lot to check out. But if you do need the help, we have the opportunity here with JP's great service department. We actually do have a special going on for your spring tune-up. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so spring tune-up, and we're offering the bearing maintenance, which is basically going through your axles. So a spring tune-up and a bearing pack. We're doing 10% off parts and labor at the moment. And
which is significant, by the way.
Yeah, so we just talked about the spring tune-up benefits, but doing the axle maintenance, I like to compare it to doing an oil change every 3,000 miles. It's doing it yearly, or they say between 5,000-7,000 miles, or every other year. But it's just a general going through your bearings, repacking the grease, checking the bearing. We check the brakes, we check your tires, we check the suspension, making sure that you are safe and reliable going down the road.
Sooner the better, too, I would think, because if you're looking to come here in April, if you can, your thing might be packed into storage and maybe not be able to get it out until April or something. But if you can do it before April, probably advisable if you want to get on the road sooner, right?
Yeah, our schedule does fill up, when weather starts to get warm, and advice to call and make your appointment now, and we'll get you scheduled and get you locked in to get you taken care of.
So starting at about $525 and up, plus tax.
Yep.
On different types of options for your spring tune-up, whether you have a motorhome, travel trailer, pop-up, fifth wheel, whatever the case may be. Plus, we talked about safety. Let's go back to safety for a second. We got the safety first test.
Yeah, safety is number one. So safety, we have a kind of a new thing that we're
new package.
Thank you. A package that basically we want to make sure that you're safe. We don't want to have any issues with a propane leak. We want to make sure that your smoke detector is functioning like it should. We want to make sure that your CO detector is operating, that it's functioning, and that it's up to not expired, I should say. So there is a date where they do expire, and this package will include us checking for that date to make sure that it is good to go. And if it's not, then we call you, be like, hey, let's get that replaced for you if need to be.
Cool. JP, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, John.
All right, let's do safety first, guys. Make sure you get in, and maybe you can do it on your own. Like JP says, leave it to the experts. They really know what they're doing, especially here at Hilltop Camper and RV, I must say. And take care of yourself, take care of your camper, and have a great camping season. Thanks for joining us here on Minnesota Camper with Hilltop Camper and RV. I'm John. This is JP. Come see him.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for watching Minnesota Camper. We hope you like it. We hope you participate in it, because this is about Minnesota camping for Minnesota campers. We know there's a ton of stuff on the internet about camping, but there's not much out there about Minnesota campers and Minnesota camping. So we're going to do it here. We want you to participate. We want your ideas. It doesn't have to be just about campers that we have at Hilltop Camper and RV. It could be about campfires. It could be about campgrounds. It could be about things to do in different towns that are great for camping at, camp food, parts, maintenance, whatever the case may be. We want to know what you want to hear about. We'd love to tackle those topics. And if you have a really cool experience out camping, maybe you can tell us about that too. Or maybe it's a really cool camper. That'd be kind of fun too. Anyway, we'd love to hear from you here at Minnesota Camper. Thanks for watching.